tree. Oh, jab me, daddy. What? Oh no, I got killed by somebody with the Clantac penis.
What did you just say?
Yeah, Resident Evil 8. When that came out, all we would hear from Cap Lightning is, and I quote, "Oh yeah, step on me, mommy."
Yup. Down with the sickness. Oh wow! Enemy.
Oh my! Listen, I know you really want to have sex right now, but I've got Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone stuck in my head, and I just cannot perform right now. I am so sorry. Of course, update requires a restart as I'm trying to make great content. Cool. All right, I'll just go myself. Welcome back to the basement. It is a day that ends in Y, which means it's a great day to talk sports, video games, and wrestling. It is an absolute privilege for me to be on your screen this beautiful day, even though it's raining here in Rip City. I thank you all for allowing me to be here. I'd like to take a second to introduce myself. Legend has it, I am the internet's greatest social media darling with tens and tens of followers. I am the most awarded podcast host in the history of Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
What?
The okayest content creator in the history of the internet.
What?
My name is Shiloh Jocelyn, or Epics if you're nasty. Welcome to the state-of-the-art, top of the line,
We spared no expense.
Mom's Basement Studio for a little thing that I like to call I Read the Script. Yes, thank you. Hello, everybody. All right. Here's how this show is going to work. It's going to be a little bit different. Usually, I stream video games or chatting and whatnot and what have you.
What?
It's going to be different. I'm going to do this a little more podcast style. I'm definitely still keeping an eye on the comments section. We're going to talk sports, much to the chagrin of my fellow Seattle Mariners fans that probably do not want to talk sports today because last night was brutal, but we're going to do it anyway because we're tough. So what we're going to do, we're currently live streaming on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you got questions, feel free to ask. If you're listening in podcast form and this comes out after the fact, email any questions you've got to ireadthescript@mbg.gg. I'll definitely get back to them on the next show, which should be tomorrow. All right. First, I'm a little on the fence of whether or not I want to get into the pain that is being a Seattle Mariners fan in the final week of the season. The last, I don't know, 20 some odd years. It seems like every single year it gets to the point where we are either one game back or maybe two, and we just barely don't make it. And it's looking like it's going to be that kind of year for the Mariners this year too. And I'm, as somebody that watched at least a portion of every single game this year, I'm you know, I would say that I'm devastated. I don't know if it's quite that bad, but I'm not sure that it's not quite that bad. They do love to tease us. I was thinking, and I got to crunch some math. And I don't know if I'll be able to do it live because I'm just not entirely sure I'm that coordinated. But I wanted to take the stats of when Dan Wilson and Edgar Martinez took over. I will have this ready for the next show, or when we take a break, I'll crunch those numbers and I will definitely get back to you with them. But I want to know what the season would look like, just assuming that the sample size that we have with Dan and Edgar. I guess we decided to go Mariners to start it off. Okay. If the sample size were to be spread out throughout the entire season, what does the Mariners season look like? And I'm willing to bet we're in the playoffs. It's handedly, like there's no question whatsoever that the Mariners are in the playoffs. And like a lot of this has to do, with the players. I think Julio, he's hit or miss, and I think that's what's really holding him back from being, a superstar. I think we've got one of the best catchers. I don't know. Do I want to say best catcher? Is Big Dumper Cal Raleigh the best catcher in the major leagues? That's tough. Like most of the stats would suggest yes. Now, I I have a hard time granting him the rank of master because that batting average is so low. Like it's been just over 200 all season, but the rest of his stats are just they're unreal. He's leading the teams in home runs. He's leading the teams in RBI. He's got 31 home runs. He's got 96 runs batted in, but he's currently batting 218, which I'll be completely honest here. I don't know what other catchers are batting, but I feel like that average is crazy low, but he's towards the top, if not the top, in basically all defensive catcher statistics. So I feel like you got to give it to him. I don't know. If you crank out 31 home runs and you're flirting with 100 RBI, and there's still, 4 games left in the season, he could still get to 100 ribbies. He gets to 100 ribbies and 30 plus home runs. I'll crown him. I'll do it. I'll do it live on this podcast. Even with the batting average, what it is. But yeah, I want to do the math and see what it would look like. And also, is Dan Wilson and Edgar going to be back next season? Let's see. Back. Let's see. Okay, Wilson wasn't just managing the final 34 games of the season. He was given the full-time job by the Mariners and will continue to oversee the team into next year. So did they give him a multi-year contract? The Mariners are 17 and 13 since Dan took over. That's not as good as I thought it would be, to be completely honest. But Mariners were 500, so it was an improvement. But look at the final 10 games? They have been scoring just a ton of runs. It'd be interesting to see an average of runs that they've scored over like the last 10 or so, because they've been just white hot. Now, is that a case of the team just being hot? Could be. Is this a case of like Dan and Edgar? Yeah, I keep saying Dan and Edgar. Like, what other team not called the Seattle Mariners do you credit the batting coach? Like, it's probably just because I've been a huge Mariners fan my entire life, and the fact that Edgar Martinez is on the staff right now, it almost makes me see him and Dan Wilson as equals, even though like Dan is clearly the manager and Edgar is the batting coach. But I almost see them as equals because of the fact that I don't I don't know why. He's just he's he's Edgar fucking Martinez. Of course I'm going to give him way more credit than is probably necessary. But you know what I think is really interesting slash sad slash depressing is the fact that last season there was all this hope for Mariners fans, albeit completely unfounded. You know, we're gonna go for Shohei. We're gonna get Otani. Everything's gonna be awesome. Everything is awesome. Everything's better when you're part of the Mariners. Did we get Shohei Otani? No. Okay. Did we add huge bats to really make a run at the playoffs? No. Okay, so what did we do? Oh, we actually shed a lot of money in contracts. We got rid of some really great hitters, guys that hit a lot of home runs, but struck out a lot. Because we're going to get this team turned around and we're not going to strike out. Then what did the Mariners do? Was it all season? Almost all season? Well, they led the majors in strikeouts for one, so that's not a great start. Not a very good look for old Trader Joe. Trader Jerry. I was really disappointed this offseason. Genuinely disappointed. I never seriously thought that the Mariners were going to get Shohei. I feel like they could have been in the running had they put their best foot forward and really tried to get him. I don't believe for a second that they actually tried to land Shohei Otani. And maybe my bias comes from Ichiro, and I feel like because Ichiro was here and he's such an ambassador for the team, that any high profile Japanese player Mariners have the inside track in getting, maybe they had no chance. Shohei, when he signed with the Dodgers, he talked about winning culture, wanting to win, which I do not blame him after being with the Angels for as long as he has. And man, shout out to Mike Trout for staying there for as long as he has. I'm sorry, Angels fans. I hope that he gets the fuck out of there. And I hope Trout goes and wins something. Put him on the Dodgers. Dodgers, go sign Mike Trout. Get him a ring. Let him retire. I just, man, I want to see him do well. As somebody, you know, I am a lifelong Seattle Mariners fan. They will always and forever be my number one team. But for close to 15 years, majority of my adult life, I lived in Los Angeles. I know Blazer fans, you're gonna hate me because LA is not a friend to Portland. But you know, I was going to film school and broadcasting. I went to film school and studied broadcast journalism for sports. And I thought, hey, LA is a good place to do that. So I did it. And then I stayed for a while and then I came back because Portland is awesome. But I went to a lot a lot of Angels and Dodgers games while I was there. The company I worked for had season tickets for both, and I was pretty much the only one that ever wanted them. And so I like during the Eric Gagne years of the Dodgers and Manny Wood, I was there for majority of the Dodgers games. And I went to probably 50 to 60 Angels games. Um so there's a little bit of me that would call myself a fan of those franchises because I mean, I was practically a season ticket holder for both. And I would love going to Chavez Ravine. I would love going to Angel Stadium. I think the giant hat in front of Angel Stadium is one of my favorite things outside of the statues that are outside of T-Mobile Park now. I love those things, man. The giant hat, the giant bats, Angel Stadium, the waterfall in the outfield. It's fantastic. And it's sad for me to see where that franchise has gone since, Salmon was running around out there. Having said that, they are in the absolute dumpster and they're not coming out for a while. And I hope Trout gets out. I hope he can find a home somewhere where he has a chance to win. That's all I'm going to say about the Angels. But going back to Shohei, when he was talking about the Dodgers, it really sounded like the only thing he cared about was winning. And I feel like how his contract is structured kind of proves that point because he's leaving a lot of short-term money on the table. He's playing for next to nothing. And he did that so the team can continue winning and build. Would you even say he's building around him? Or are the Dodgers building around Shohei, or is Shohei just a piece? It's hard not to say that the main event is not Shohei Ohtani, but you still got, you got Mookie Betts. They building around him. It's such a star-studded squad. It's no wonder Shohei wanted to go there. So I don't even know if Seattle had a shot at landing him. But of course, my Mariners bias tells me that they were the front runners. So obviously Seattle didn't actually try and sign him. So shame on you, Jerry. I really wonder what next year is going to look like. We'll assume Edgar is back. We know Dan Wilson is going to be back. Thank you, Asher, for doing that research and posting it in the chat. Thank you so much. Dan Wilson's going to be back. Edgar, I don't know. I don't know about the rest of the staff. I hope they keep whatever pitching coaches they have coaching our starters, keep them, pay them whatever they want. We have the best starting rotation in baseball. It is one of the best starting rotations in all of MLB history. I'm just going to put that out there. And I am going to take it one step further. They're going to be better next year. Wu having a full off season to get better, who I talked about yesterday. Wu's a stud. And he's the 4th or 5th starter in the rotation right now. That is unbelievable. He's going to get better. His arm's going to hold up through a whole season. We got to figure out what's going on with his super efficiency. But then, in the 7th inning, hit homer, he's gone. You figure that out. The guy, and I may be completely delusional. And if that's the case, sorry, but also not sorry. I think Wu he's got ace pitcher written all over him in my eyes. If you disagree, tell me. We can have a conversation about that. But the eye test to me, every time I watch him pitch, he is an ace starter for 6 innings, and then it gets a little rough. So what do you do there? Well, our bullpen certainly needs some work. Our closer, you know, he's fine. He's fine. Man, he's good. He's good. He's really good. I have a hard time saying, oh, yeah, like he's the guy that I want closing out games for the Mariners. So, and just kind of going back to the Woo thing, I'm looking at ESPN's depth chart right now. Here's their depth chart, right? So according to ESPN, Castillo, number 1. Kirby, number 2. Logan Gilbert, 3. Bryce Miller, 4. Brian Woo, 5. That is a hell of a starting rotation. Please tell me one starting rotation in the majors that's better than that. I think Woo could be a number 1 on 20 other teams. And he's 5th. 5th on the Seattle Mariners. Now, is he a number 1 this year on every other team? I don't know. But I certainly think he's got the potential to be so. So I'm looking at Munoz right now. ERA in the last 7 days, 2.45. So Munoz is tied for 19th with 22 saves, which is more indicative of, well, I'd say it's more indicative of the offense just not giving him opportunities to get saves. Like last night against Houston, he was tagging 101. That was sweet. I'm sitting there with my 9-year-old, and he's looking at the radar gun numbers. Did he just throw 100 miles an hour? Yeah, he did. He just threw 101. Yeah, he did. Oh, that one was 84. That's a big difference. Yeah, that's awesome. So is being tied for 19th in saves, is that on him, or is that on our offense just not giving him enough opportunities to actually and genuinely get saves? On this page, I'm not seeing blown saves, which is a stat I'd really, really, really like to know right now. For the season, a 2.12 ERA. He's got 3 wins with 7 losses. So he's got 27 save opportunities, and he's converted on 22 of them. So he's blown 5 saves and has 7 losses. 59.1 innings pitched, 31 hits, 16 runs, 14 earned runs, 6 home runs, 26 base on balls, 77 Ks. 77 Ks in 59 innings. That's not bad. Wow. Batters are only hitting 153 against him. They've got 6 stolen bases, 6 home runs, 21 ribbies. So I think the offense just needs to give him more opportunities to shine, because right now they're not. And when you talk about offense, you have to talk about Julio. Julio's got 19 home runs and 65 RBI this season. That's not gonna get it done. If you're supposed to be the superstar, savior of the franchise, best player since Griffey to come through here, that ain't it. That ain't it. 275. That's been better. This just white hot streak he's been on has been great for that average, because it was significantly lower. 19 homers, 65 ribbies. He's got 550 at bats, 72 runs, 151 hits, no triples. I'm a little surprised by that. With 19 home runs, 65 RBI, 38 base on balls, 152 strikeouts. So out of 150 at bats, he's struck out 152 times with 24 stolen bases. You know what's interesting? We were watching the game last night, and my 9-year-old plays baseball, and he's watching. This is the first time he's faced live pitching in his life, and there was a ball thrown. It was, I want to say it was Houston's closer. That last at bat of the game, and there was a ball that was pretty far outside, and Julio didn't swing. And I thought, I wonder if that's Edgar Martinez in his ear. I wonder if that's little little he's got old coaching staff on one shoulder, and he's got Edgar and Dan on the other. And we've got a little good and bad going on. And the old coaching staff, oh yeah, swing at that. You can get that. You can get that. Just swing. Just swing, baby. Just swing. Then you got Edgar. Okay, wait for your pitch. Make it easy. Don't overthink it. And he holds up and doesn't swing. I thought, wow. That's really cool. I'm really glad he didn't swing on that. I think that shows a lot of growth. Well, sure as shit, another pitch way outside. He swings, misses, game over. Fuck, man. Man, last night was painful to watch. And it's not because they played poorly. Like, there was no, oh, do I bring up the past? Oh, man. There was no Robles trying to steal home on a 3-0 count with the bases loaded and getting caught. There was no Julio jumping out of the way of a flying bat and forgetting he has to get back on base and getting tagged out. It was just good, smart baseball. Robles had an interesting bunt attempt. I think they're in the top of the 9th. But, oh, man. It's just, I want to say Julio struck out that last at bat. Top of the 9th, 2 out. Julio was up. You think, gosh, if there's one guy you want up there, it is that. I mean, his bat's walking up, and you can just hear the he's on fire from NBA Jam, right? This is the closest sound I got. Boom shakalaka. Sorry, you get boom shakalaka because I don't have he's on fire, but I should definitely add that to the soundboard. Julio strikes out, and it's just, man, just sad. I'm upset. But having said that, I am forever an optimist. I am really, really, really looking forward to next year. We get a whole year of Dan Wilson, which everybody seems to say is just so good at what he does. And I think here's my hot take. Ready? I don't even know if it's a hot take. In fact, let me pull up his stats real quick. To me, and this is saying a lot, okay? This is saying a lot. It's a hot take. Victor Robles is an absolute game changer for the Seattle Mariners. When the Mariners make the playoffs next year, it's going to be because Victor Robles is playing like the guy he was supposed to coming up. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything about Robles, because before he joined the Mariners, I've heard his name. I knew he didn't quite pan out how he was supposed to. But being the Mariners homer that I am, the fact that he's like, oh man, I love playing for the Mariners. He signed what I feel is a pretty team friendly, I think, 2-year contract. And he talked about how joining the Mariners saved his career and maybe his life. And I was just like, I love this guy. Like I need another jersey to buy. Now I need a City Edition Robles jersey. Just because I love the guy. He's batting over 300. He's got 4 home runs, 25 RBI. I know that's not great. Those are not awesome numbers. But when I watch him, I see enthusiasm. I see love of the game. I see trying to put down bunts, aggressive base running. Even if it's a little too aggressive, I literally just kind of dumped on him a little bit because of that snafu on the 3-0 count. Though, in his defense, I can see why he might try it. I don't remember the pitcher's name for the Yankees, but like, he wasn't looking. He was bent down. He's playing with the rosin bag. He let Robles get halfway home. Wouldn't even look at him. So I can understand why he tried it, but it still hurts. It still hurts. A 3-0 count. He couldn't throw a strike to save his life. I feel like, and again, you never know, but I feel like Robles scoring was inevitable. Within the next 2 pitches, Robles was going home, right? There's just something about Victor Robles that I watch and I think this guy can be an all-star player. He could be him. He was supposed to be him coming up, right? He was supposed to be the next big thing for the Nationals. And it just never worked out. I don't know why. I don't know if it's him. I don't know if he just got a little fire lit under him when he came to the Mariners. I don't know. But what I do know is that when I watch him, I see hope for the Mariners. And that's all we really can ask for right now, right? Just a little hope from the Mariners. A little optimism. Because right now, there isn't a lot of that. This season was hard on fans, and it started in the offseason when I think most Mariner fans would agree it seemed like we got worse. And we were really striving to win 54% of the games. Then we're doing pretty good. We're 10 games up. And within a few weeks, we were down 3 games to Houston and we never recovered. So we just need a little bit of hope from guys like Victor Robles. And let's throw a Rosarena in there too. When I watch Randy play, it seems like he's a completely different player than when he was in Tampa. When you see him in Tampa, he seemed like so jovial and happy and he loved being there. And when I saw him in Seattle, he just seems like a guy that's just like, well, shit, I didn't want to be traded. I don't want to be here. He just seems like the polar opposite of Robles. And I'm really hoping we can get that jovial, big smile of Rosarena player out in left field next season for a whole year with the Mariners. Because if you get him going, you get Rodriguez, you get Robles. I mean, that's a murderer's row of starting outfielders. And I think Luke Raley's done really well. Haniger did a good job. Dylan Moore, Demo out there. Dude, that's a good looking kid. And I love his shiny black necklace. He's great. We got Rojas in on third base. I'd like to see him get better. It'll be interesting to see what we do at second base with Polanco. First base, I think, is still a question mark a bit. Luke Raley, he played well after Ty France left, and Justin Turner just didn't seem like he was it. But Raley batted .241 with 21 homers and 55 ribbies. That's not bad for a guy that just wasn't really playing. So I think there's hope. There is hope for the Seattle Mariners next season. I hope they can see it through. I hope that Dan Wilson keeps Edgar and they keep going the way that they're going. And I hope that you will join me for the next season. Next season. Join me for the next Mariners season. And then join me for the next segment after this quick break. We're going to talk Blazer basketball, a new TV deal, what it means for you, what it means for me. And then we're going to talk Blazer Media Day. So don't go anywhere. Go stretch your legs. Come back in a couple minutes. We'll be right back. All right, that's enough of a break. We don't need any more of a break than that. Hey, shout out to actually everybody watching right now. We've got people on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. We actually have a lot of people watching on X right now at Shiloh Jocelyn. This is I read the script for Shiloh Jocelyn. That's me. Or Epics if you're nasty and you were around for the video game days. Shout out to everybody that's here that's watching. And if you're listening on the podcast version, I love you. Thank you. Got a great question in Twitch. Who's going to win the World Series this year? Well, unfortunately, not the Mariners. But I feel like the only answer for that, and there's two teams that immediately popped in my head. If it's not the Dodgers or the Yankees, I'm going to be shocked. I'm going to be absolutely shocked if it's not one of those teams. The first full-on answer that comes to my mind, though, is Dodgers. How do you bet against Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani? I'd say Clayton Kershaw, but he really hasn't been able to pitch in the playoffs in a long time. So I'm gonna say my pick officially, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah, the Phillies are good. Phillies are good. They're very good. 93-65. Great record. Them and the Dodgers are 93-64. So I mean, they pretty much have identical records. But I mean, one team has Shohei, the other one doesn't. to me, like, you can make the argument one team has Bryce Harper and the other one doesn't, and that's totally fair. I don't know, man. How do you bet against Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy? I'm gonna throw Teo Hernandez in there too because he's a Mariners, former Mariner great Teo. Mookie Betts and Shohei's not even pitching. The Dodgers have Yamamoto. They got old Jack, Walker Buehler, Landon Knack. And then next year, you're going to throw Shohei in there. And like, I don't know. Do they just win? How long was Ohtani's contract? 10 years? They're going to win the World Series 5 times in that 10 years. if they keep that team together and like add a pitcher, I don't know. How do you bet against them? The only team that I would say has a chance of knocking them off their pedestal, probably the Yankees. Because you've got Garrett Cole, who's great. Austin Wells, okay, catcher. Rizzo's cool. But they traded for Jazz over there at third base. They've got Aaron Judge, Juan Soto. If Juan Soto re-signs, oh shit, man. First off, I'll be glad if that happens because I'm so tired of the. Oh yeah, and they have Stanton, by the way, who's DHing. I'm so tired of the narrative. What's Soto gonna do? Where's he gonna go? Is he gonna stay? Is he gonna go? What's going on? What kind of contract are we looking at here? It's time. It's time for him to find a home and be there forever and win a bunch of games. Between those two, I mean, so this never happens, right? It's almost never the two best teams that play each other. Either somebody gets hurt or you get a Moneyball Oakland A's type team that just gets hot at the right time and steamrolls through the playoffs or gets a couple lucky bounces. It's never the top two teams that play each other. So I could say, if Soto re-signs, you're going to have Yankees, Dodgers 5 times in the World Series out of the next 10 years. But we all know that's not going to happen because that's just not how sports life works. But also, if it did happen, I wouldn't be that surprised. All right, we're going to move on to My favorite topic, the Portland Trail Blazers. Big, huge news coming out of Rip City yesterday, and right after Monday Night Football. The Blazers have signed a multi-year deal with Sinclair Broadcasting Group to launch the Rip City Television Network, which is going to start January 1st. Right now in the Portland market, I believe it's Univision, and on the 1st is going to flip over to Rip City Television Network, and they're going to broadcast Portland Trail Blazer games for free over the air on KATU, with the exception of one nationally televised game, January 28th, when Dame Lillard returns to Portland. This is a huge deal. When I was growing up, and shout out to Danny Meringue and Casey Holdall for this perspective. When I was growing up watching the Portland Trail Blazers, I loved watching them on our local over-the-air television. And there's a lot of people in Rip City that did not have access to Blazer games. I full on switched my provider because I wasn't going to stick with Comcast if they were going to make me pay out the nose to get Blazer games. So for a little context for those watching that aren't super familiar and don't live, breathe, eat, sleep Blazers basketball, last year and a few years prior, the Portland Trail Blazers have been on Root Sports, which is a regional sports network mostly owned by the Seattle Mariners. They primarily focus on Mariners and Seattle-based content. So they had the Mariners, they have Kraken, they have Blazers. Well, for Blazer games, before they were on Root Sports, they had pre-game shows and post-game shows. And, with the NBC Sports Northwest, they had Talkin' Blazers and other content that you can watch outside of basketball. Because for sickos like me, the game itself is just not enough. We're going back to having an opportunity to have more content, to have more Portland Trail Blazers in our lives. And that is amazing. Because with Root, you'd get a little bit of a pregame, you'd get the game, you'd get a little bit of postgame. 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe after the game? And then it is usually, Mariners blank, right? You watch a Blazer game, and then suddenly you're watching some Mariners spring training something or other that has no bearing on what's currently happening in the season. Which, I love the Mariners, but Blazers are it for me, right? My dream is to have a job with the Blazers. I am a homer. If you were listening to this, if you were watching this, and you ever think, oh man, Shiloh is such a homer, A, right, I am. I'm a professional journalist. I'm not. But I'll try. And I am a homer, but I'm also objective. When things are good, things are good. When things are bad, things are bad. And I'm not sugarcoating bad things to make them look good. That I don't think helps anybody. I am an optimist, but a realist. I understand, right now, things on the court, not great. Haven't been this bad in a while. But Blazers are it for me. The whole reason why I wanted to do a sports podcast is because of the Blazers. I absolutely love every single day listening to local podcasts about the Blazers. Shout out Mike and Locked On Blazers. I am an everyday listener of Locked On Blazers. Anytime there's a new Jack Ramsey's, I am there. Blazer Focus with Fentress. I listen to every single episode. I love supporting local podcasters and content makers that are talking about something I love in the Blazers. And I hope to join their ranks one day at the level of their shows. Hello, guys. If you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Shiloh. This is I Read the Script. It's nice to meet you sometime in the future. So back to this broadcast deal. I think what I'm most excited for outside of availability. You know, what's funny is when you're talking team sports, I always say this, the best ability is availability. You can be the best at something, but if you're not around, you can't do it. And that's what life was like for the Blazers en route. You know, they were third fiddle to the Mariners, the last couple years to the Kraken. And then you had Blazers. And shout out to the Kraken for seeing the writing on the wall too and getting out before even the Blazers did. They took off earlier in the summer. So all the Kraken games also free over the air on KGW here in Portland. I don't think they're going as in depth, like with the streaming and having their own channel and whatnot, like the Blazers are. But they got out of route, I think, as soon as they could. I don't know if their contract was up or if they were like Portland and just kind of bailed. But besides the availability of games, I am how do I say this? Technophile. I am an absolute snob for video quality and audio quality. And I hope that shows and comes through on what you're either watching or listening to right now. I put a lot of pride in trying to make my shows look and sound nice. Root Sports for the Blazers did not do that. For comparison's sake, my stream right now that you're either watching or listening to is streaming at 8,000 kilobits per second at 1080p, 60 frames per second. Looks pretty nice, right? It's clean, it's smooth. You could watch it on a TV and it would look nice. Root Sports was broadcasting in 720. Right? 720. Most of you watching or listening right now probably have a TV that's 50 plus inches. That's just kind of how it is now. Everybody's got one big TV somewhere in their home, right? That's become a staple in American households. You go to Costco, you get a giant TV for a great price. You throw it up either on your wall or on your entertainment stand. And you are playing video games, watching sports, watching The Bachelorette on your beautiful 80-inch television that you got for $700 at Costco. Shout out Oregon, no sales tax, by the way. That just makes getting stuff from Costco so much easier, which is also a curse. But thank you, Oregon. I guess we kind of get tagged. And well, we won't get into that. Thank you. Thank you, Oregon, for making shopping at Costco easier. So Root Sports was broadcasting in 720 2,500 kilobits per second at 720p, 60 frames a second. Well, hey, good job. Good job at least having 60 FPS, right? If you're a gamer like me, you know anything less than 60 FPS is just it's impossible to watch. In fact, when I was setting up my stream earlier, the camera defaulted to 30 frames per second. I thought, oh, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Had to get that changed to 60 immediately. But think about that. They were broadcasting NBA games, NHL games, Major League Baseball games on Fubo, which is a streaming service that you could watch the Blazer games on, one of the few that you could, at 2,500 kilobits per second. How in the world? How is my live stream 3-4 times the quality of professional sports being broadcast in 2024? I totally understand the bandwidth need of pro sports versus my podcast and shows. But come on. That is absolutely ridiculous. There's no excuse for that. Well, thankfully, according to Dwayne Haskins, the president of basketball operations of the Portland Trailblazers, the president of business operations, sorry. Blazer games are going to be broadcast in 1080p. Shout out Dwayne for making sure that happens. In fact, he was on the radio yesterday. He was on the radio with Danny and Dusty. Go listen to them, 1080 The Fan. And he sounded a lot like I sound right now. And maybe some of my quasi outrage of 720 is because I heard Dwayne talk about this. It is 2024. We should have professional sports in 1080p. I don't think that's too much to ask. And he took it one step further. They were planning on having it rolled out by the time the season starts, which is awesome. Take it one step further. He'd like it to be ready for at least one preseason game. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Dwayne. Thank you, Jody Allen, for making this happen. Also, a little aside to our friends in Bend and Deschutes County, where they're not yet able to stream over the air. Well, they don't have to worry either, because the Blazers are also launching Blazer Vision, and a streaming option which you can stream through the NBA app. And I've really enjoyed watching League Pass on the NBA app. It works really well for me. And so the fact that they're going to be streaming games through that app, I'm excited about. The fact that our friends in Deschutes County, and if there's any of you listening, hey, the fact that they can't get it over the air because topography is a thing still in 2024. There's still mountains, there's still high deserts, there's still waves that gotta fly through the air to reach destinations. That's actually still a hurdle. And that's not going anywhere. If I can make maybe just a small suggestion to Mr. Hankins of the Blazers, which I'm so sorry I've butchered your name a couple times. I'm so sorry. I swear I know what it is. I'm just really nervous. It's my first show. So I apologize. That's on me. Mr. Dwayne Hankins. What if we gave fans in Deschutes County streaming free for this first season since they can't get it free over the air? I'm just going to throw that out there. I believe I heard him say yesterday on the radio that if you get the streaming package, you also get a couple tickets to a game. Bend and Deschutes County, kind of far from Portland. You can almost bank on the fact that people that far away may not come out for a Blazer game in person. Maybe for this first season, we let them stream for free. Just to make it fair for them, you know, if they can't get the free stuff in time or like a quarter of the season, I don't know how that would work. You can do like a key for 20 games or something like that. I'm just thinking if I lived in Bend, man, I'd be really happy for there's you're going to be able to watch the Blazers for free in Seattle, Medford, Eugene, Yakima. I think he said like Boise and parts of Idaho, and yet Bend, because land moves and goes up and down, and it's hard to shoot signals just right. If I lived there, I'd be so bummed. I'd be so happy for my friends in Seattle, my friends in Medford. Good for you for getting Blazer games. I'd be so bummed. It would make me really happy if the Blazers were like, "Hey, we're working on it. We care about you. We want you to watch. Have a key. Have a key to watch some of these games on us while we figure out a partner in your area. Watch some Blazer games, man." And hopefully they get it figured out before that even becomes an issue, right? We still have some time. The regular season doesn't start for a little bit. We've got until October 23rd to figure this out. I'm sure Dwayne and Jody, the Vulcans, everybody's working really hard to figure out how do we get Blazer games to Bend. I have faith. I have faith in you, Dwayne. I have faith. Bend, the Blazers love you. And hello, friends out there watching, even if you're not in an area that can currently watch Blazer games. I love you. I appreciate you for being here. We're talking about Blazers basketball. And if it's been a while since you've been here, hello, strangers. My name is Shiloh. I used to go by Epics when playing video games. And if you're watching right now, you're probably thinking, well, this isn't video games. This isn't a video game live stream. Well, I do both now. I talk sports. I still do gaming, but today we're doing a sports podcast. So it's a bit different than what it usually looked like. And right now we're talking Portland Trail Blazers basketball and the fact that the Blazers are making it free for a huge portion of this market that I like to call Rib City. By broadcasting over the air, joining the Phoenix Suns, the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm missing one. Was it Utah? Was it Utah Jazz doing it too? And what something else I'm really looking forward to, the Rip City Television Network. If you haven't watched The Trail and you're a Blazer fan, I highly suggest it. It's a great docuseries. It's a lot of fun to watch, and I'm really looking forward to the Blazers who produce their own content having their own channel, which means more content like that is possible. Also, I'm free, so if you want me to have a show, I'm open to it. Let's talk. I read the script at mbg.gg. Send me an email. Let's talk. I don't have an agent. It's just you and me. Just spitballing ideas back and forth, Dwayne. Just You know, we know a couple of the same people. They've got my number. Just you can call me, you can email. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But I'm really looking forward to more things like the trail going on. I'm really looking forward to more. Well, I called it pre-game shows and post-game shows. Just more Blazers content out in the universe for me to consume because, Lord knows I need it. Lord knows I need it. I watch every second of every game, and that's still not enough. And so the fact that we're going to have a whole channel dedicated to the Portland Trailblazers, dude, it's just so good. I'm so looking forward to it. So shout out to the Blazers brass. And shout out to fans for having an opinion. And I'm talking right now about fans that claim, you know, Jody Allen and the Vulcans who are running the trust, running the team. You know, they have some not so nice things to say a lot. And you know what? And I'm going to say shout out to Jody Allen. Shout out Bert Cold. Shout out to the Vulcans. Shout out to everybody that works for the Portland Trailblazers. Joe Cronin, Dwayne Hankins. You know, I'm getting a little tired of the negative slander. I've said several times now, I'm not optimist. I try and be nice. I'll call things like I see them, and I just don't see a lot of what a lot of people on the internet are saying. And this is not me trying to be a shill for the team. I don't get the hate. They are putting They decided to be best for the long-term health of the team and fan experience to lose millions of dollars per year by establishing a G League team. You know, the Rip City Remix. I think that if you are a diehard sicko Blazer fan like me, you also love the remix. And guess what? That's not making them money. That is costing them millions of dollars per year. But they're doing it because we like it and it'll make the team better in the long run. You know, people say, oh, Jody doesn't care. Let me tell you a little story that makes me think Jody Allen does care about the Blazers. And it's not because she shows up at Blazer games wearing that awesome jacket. I was at a remix game, and imagine my surprise to see Jody Allen sitting kind of diagonal from me, 10, 15 seats away. Jody Allen is sitting courtside at a Rip City Remix game with Joe Cronin. And she and Joe were cheering on the remix. She was wearing her awesome jacket. Tell me they don't care. She takes the time to go to a remix game at the University of Portland campus, wearing that awesome jacket, sitting next to Joe Cronin. Tell me that's not caring about the team. They're sacrificing tens of millions of dollars short term to broadcast the game to as many people as humanly possible. They project they will have a reach of 4 times as many fans, giving fans the opportunity to watch the Blazers for free. Tell me that's not caring about the fans. They're spending, I don't even know what the final number is going to be. And frankly, nobody probably knows what the final number is going to be, but to renovate the Moda Center. It's not a bad looking arena, but they're still giving it updates. which is great. I will say, went to a couple Kraken games last season. Holy Climate Pledge Arena is gorgeous. The layout of everything, how everything looks, that is just chef's kiss. An absolutely beautiful, beautiful arena. If we can get Moda Center to look like that, that would be awesome. I would be on board for that. But tell me, a person that oversees the trust that runs the Portland Trailblazers, losing millions on a G League team because we like it and because it's a good place to develop players. Tell me she doesn't care. You're overseeing a trust and you're making the decision that short term is going to cost your franchise tens of millions of dollars by pulling out of your deal with Root Sports and broadcasting over the air for free. If you think that the streaming option, that's $19.99 a month or $120 for the season, if you think that they're going to make up for that lost revenue that they're losing from pulling out of their deal with Root, you're crazy. They are absolutely not going to make up for that. But they're doing it because they want more fans to have access to the games after being completely screwed by Comcast before the start of last season. They don't want fans that aren't able to watch games. That just makes no business sense. It makes no sense when trying to make your fans happy. They are giving up a lot. So, thank you, I think, is in order. I appreciate the fact that you are quadrupling the broadcast reach throughout Oregon, Washington, and I believe some of Idaho. You know, they're bringing Blazer basketball to anywhere we are with the streaming. And if you're in the Pacific Northwest, there's a good chance you're going to have access to free Blazer basketball. It's crazy. And also a really cool move that I liked a lot. If you are part of Rip City United and you're either a half or full season member, you're going to get Blazer Vision for free. It's just part of the ticket package. You're going to be able to stream for free, which is great. That's not me. I'm not a season ticket holder yet. We were really close to becoming season ticket holders, and then unfortunately Dame asked out, and it's just, oh boy, that was hard to pull the trigger on, because like, you knew the team wasn't going to be great, but prices were already locked in. So we did not pull the trigger on season tickets. And that hurt because I wanted to go to every single game. I want to be, Danny Meringue is my spirit animal, and I want to go to every single game, even if that meant I had to pay for it. And oh man, we were so close, and still like kicking the tires on it now. All right. That is enough talk about Blazers being on free over-the-air television. The next segment, we're going to talk about Blazers Media Day coming up here in about a week and training camp. It is right around the corner. Blazers basketball, legit Blazer basketball, is right around the corner. And you and I are going to get to experience it together, starting with Media Day. Let's talk about that here coming up. Take a couple seconds, walk around, get a drink, get a snack. Just pump those legs a little bit, okay? We've been sitting for too long talking. Let's go take a quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're still here. We're still live. I am still Shiloh Jocelyn, and this is still. I read the script. We've been talking lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of Blazer basketball. We talked some Seattle Mariners. We're going to talk some more Blazer basketball. But first, I'm gonna veer away just a smidge. We're talking sports ball today. You know, maybe we go see the A's in Sacramento next year. That would be totally not depressing at all. You know, I was really hoping they would end up in Portland. Speaking of the Portland Diamond Project, another bit of Portland news, bought up some land in downtown Portland on the waterfront. They want to build a stadium right there on the waterfront. Our very own, like, McCovey Cove. I'm really excited about that. And what's interesting is I feel like the rumor for a while was, yeah, if the Oakland A's move, maybe it'd be to Portland. Maybe we build a stadium. Maybe we lure the A's here. Who would it be now? The Rays? I can maybe see the Rays moving out west. I mean, I don't know if the Chicago White Sox actually play baseball anymore, but if they do, maybe they could do it in Portland. I don't know. What would a Portland team name be? I really like Portland Pirates, but that's taken. Huh. A Portland. I remember we had the Pioneers and or Beavers at some point. I remember, I want to say I was in high school and we had a minor league team here. Was that the Beavers? I want to say that's what it was. The Portland Beavers played at the stadium where the Timbers play now. It's Providence Park. Gosh, what was it called back then? I don't even remember. Do you think they'd go Beavers? I know, I feel like Pioneers might be a thing because that kind of works with the P of Portland. But then you'd have the Portland P, Pittsburgh, Phillies. I feel like we wouldn't just be able to use a cool looking letter P on our hats and helmets. It'd have to be something different because that's already kind of played out in the majors. But yeah, Portland Diamond Project, I want to say it was 33 acres on the waterfront that needs to be developed. It was so it's a vacant piece of land between the new pedestrian bridge and the Ross Island Bridge. That can be really, really cool. The purchase price is undisclosed, but Zidell Yards is what it's called currently. Let's see. I'm trying to find some specifics on it because I wasn't planning on talking about it, but I just remembered it while we were talking. Yeah, 33 acres of mostly undeveloped land sandwiched between OHSU and the Ross Island Bridge. The property is on the water, so we can have our very own McCovey Cove. Now we just need somebody that can hit lots and lots of home runs. And it The project enters a 120-day due diligence period with a 42-month period to purchase. Man, I don't know if that's putting the cart before the horse, or if you have, or if a stadium is the horse and having a team is the cart. But that is that is a big, big step, and it's something that just cost the Arizona Coyotes their hockey team. They weren't able to get a stadium, and now here we are, realistically getting a baseball stadium in Portland. Could we do something where it's a like a mixed use? Can we do a NFL, MLB share the stadium type situation? I'd be okay with that. Man, imagine getting both in Portland, because Portland for the longest time was just the Blazers. Like, we had the Blazers and then we had Seattle teams. Then we got the Kraken. And we've always had the Winterhawks. I'll use my Seahawks sound for the Winterhawks. But I've loved the Winterhawks my entire life. But they're not a pro sports franchise per se. That'd be really cool if we can get baseball here at the least, and then absolute stretch dream of an NFL team. But that'd be really cool. And the Portland Diamond Project's really trying hard to make it happen. I wonder if Russell Wilson's still part of that, because if he is, I really need to stop talking trash about him. Shout out Russell Wilson and Sierra if you're still part of the Portland Diamond Project. Without you, we wouldn't even have the chance of baseball coming to Portland. All right. Speaking of Seahawks and former Seahawks, I don't know if you know this, but the Seahawks are on the road to destroy the 1972 Dolphins' 14-0 undefeated record by going 17-0 this year, calling it right now undefeated. But did you know that there's a rumor going around right now that Bryce Young is, quote, open to anything, including a trade, according to ESPN. The list of potential candidates include the New York Jets, Miami Dolphins, LA Rams, and your Seattle Seahawks as landing spots. Let's discuss this. Bryce Young, former number 1 overall pick. Would you want him as a backup quarterback to Geno Smith? Huh. Doesn't seem like such a bad idea. You've got your young guy kind of waiting in the wings. I'm not saying or even remotely suggesting that you replace Geno Smith with Bryce Young, because that might be the stupidest thing you could possibly do right now. Right now, Geno's third in the NFL in yards. He's 16th in touchdowns, but he's been really good, really efficient, almost a 75 completion percentage. He's been damn good. But Bryce Young as a backup, that's intriguing, because Sam Howell, from all accounts that I recall, did really well in the preseason. A lot of people liked him. He seemed like he was playing really well. But does he have the same upside as Bryce Young? It's hard to compare a 5th round pick to the 1st overall pick when we really haven't seen. I say haven't seen a lot. Howell did. He played in 17 games last year. That's a lot. Threw for almost 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 21 interceptions on a Washington Commanders team that were the Washington Commanders. it's a little hard to really pull something out of that, right? Totally get it. But also, if you think about it, Bryce Young has been playing for the Panthers that, I mean, they've been Carolina Panthering it up here the last couple years. It's interesting. You look at a situation like Sam Darnold. He gets in a place and suddenly he's lighting it up. Could that happen for Bryce Young? You get him into a place like Seattle. You get Geno Smith, who's 33 years old, might have a few seasons left, and then suddenly you've got Bryce Young with DK Metcalf, Smith, and Jigba. We'll just say Bobo because everybody loves Bobo. Those are some great receivers. Hopefully, we're building up the O-line. We'll see. It feels like Seattle's had just a carousel of running backs coming in and out of the lineup the last few years. Doesn't sound like an awful landing spot for Bryce Young if he doesn't mind being a backup for a couple years. That'd be really interesting. Do I want it? I don't know. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what his contract's looking like. I wonder if we can pull this. I doubt his contract numbers will be on this site that I'm looking at, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Bryce Young being the number 1 overall pick is making more money than Sam Howell. So that would definitely be something to consider. But I doubt Bryce Young's next contract is going to be all that substantial. So what do you pay a guy like Bryce Young on a second contract coming off of being benched by the Carolina Panthers and then seeing Dalton just light it up against the Raiders? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Bryce Young back up in Seattle. I don't know if you can make it work and not give up a whole lot for him, which kind of seems to be the case for quarterbacks in the NFL. Teams seem to be willing to give up a little something on reclamation projects, but they're not giving up the farm. Like, we're talking 5th, 6th round picks for some of these guys that were high draft picks and didn't work out, but then suddenly seem to be working out with their new team. So you get Bryce Young, who was the number 1 overall pick just a couple of years ago, for call it a 4th round pick. Do you do that? Do you pay the extra money from going from Sam Howell to Bryce Young and have him kind of waiting in the wings under Geno Smith? Ooh. That's an interesting thought. You want something else that's interesting? I saw a video this morning before coming on here. Seattle Kraken are in training camp right now. Shout out Seattle Kraken and all the crackheads out. No, that's inappropriate. Shout out to the Kraken fans out there. I am really looking forward to this upcoming season, mostly because I am an absolute Shane Wright stan. I was elated when he fell to them in the draft. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does this season after a season in the AHL. Man, I really have high hopes. I'm going to be so disappointed if it doesn't work out, but I've got really high hopes for Shane Wright. I love Matty Beniers. I'm going to talk a little bit more about cards later, but I've mentioned my 9-year-old son. We were at a sports card store and we got this box of NHL rookies, just really hoping to get a Matty Beniers card because we had not gotten a Matty Beniers rookie card yet. So we get this box that's all rookies, thinking, well, I mean, if we're going to get one, it's going to be from this box, right? So we open it up and we get the Matty Berniers. It's like, I don't know what they call it, reverse card. So you've got like your standard card, right? And they make a variation of it that looks very similar, but it's like slightly different because the coloring's a little bit different. So we're so stoked to get that card. It was the first card that we got from the packs. Open the box. I don't recall how many packs were in there. But first pack, first card, this Matty Beniers reverse, whatever it's called. We go through, open, get some really cool ones. Really looking forward to it. And then we get that same Matty Beniers reverse card, but autographed. Imagine the look on my 9-year-old's face. We come in there hoping to get a Matty Beniers card, and we leave with a variation of the base card and a variation that's autographed by Matty Beniers. He was so over the moon. And so far, it's the only card that I've ever sent in to get graded. It came back as an 8, which oddly enough is the highest that card has been graded so far. So I don't know anything about grading cards. I don't know anything about how that process necessarily works. But the card came out of the pack directly into a top loader and swiftly shipped to PSA to be graded. And it came back as an 8, and that's the highest that it's been so far. Usually I keep that on my desk here just because it's, I don't know, a fun reminder of how much fun collecting sports cards can be and how it doesn't need to be a business. And that people that are making it a business are kind of making it worse because you're making the level of entry almost impossible for anybody that just wants to collect cards and have fun with their kids. So can you please stop buying and selling $300 cards? Anyways, rant over there. The Kraken are in training camp, and I saw this video of, like, it was very Home Alone-esque. If you want to take a little trip in time with me back to Home Alone 1, a Kevin McAllister is alone in his house, and the wet bandits are outside casing the place. And Kevin's trying to make it look like they're having a party at the house, so, hopefully they don't rob him. So he's got this like cardboard cutout of Michael Jordan on train tracks, and he's got mannequins that he's controlling with the string and making it look like they're dancing, and stuff on record players, so it looks like they're spinning and dancing and having a great time. So the Kraken, I don't know what they had this guy on, but they had a mannequin on the ice attached to a string, wearing a Kraken jersey. And they're sending it back and forth in front of the goalie, working on screen shots. So in case you are new to the sport of hockey or really have no interest in even dipping your toes into it, something that's prevalent that you see during games is usually a forward, generally a center, will come down to the opposing goalie and just kind of stand in front of him, trying to block the goalie's vision. Because I mean, you can't catch a puck if you can't see it, right? So you can hear the shots coming in. You'll have your teammates yelling, shot, 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 and the goalie will go down into his stance and get glove up, get blocker up, and hope for the best. It's called a goalie screen. So these coaches are sending this mannequin back and forth. And once the mannequin, boom, here comes the shot. Boom, here comes the shot. Boom, here comes the shot. And they're working on goalie making saves while being screened. And it was, I don't know if it was meant to be comical, but I thought it was just the funniest thing I've ever seen. And it got me thinking, I know that they've got Shane Wright. I know that they've got Matty Beniers. I know that they recently signed Chandler Stevenson to a long-term contract from the Vegas Golden Knights, but hear me out. Chandler is 30 years old, signed a 7-year contract that is $45.75 million. That's an annual average of $6.25 million for a 20-goal scorer, 60 points. No, that's fine. Seems a little high to me, but get your bag. We could have signed this training dummy for significantly less and just sent him out there, throw him in front of the other goalie, just set up a rigging system like, they use, movies, special effects, stunts, stuff like that. Just set him up to a rigging system. Make sure you're onside. Pull the ripcord, send that in front of the goalie, and boom. He would have at least 10 goals just based off of deflections, right? At least 10 goals. You don't have to pay him anything. Imagine the cap space that frees up for, say, another defender or, a great wing to pair with McCann and Beniers and Shane. I mean, maintenance costs would be next to nothing. He would play 82 games. Worst case scenario, you have to get some rubber cement and re-glue his arm on from time to time. You could do that faster than most guys have to go get stitches, right? Guys in front of the net, takes a puck to the face, boom, has to go for stitches. He's a hockey player. He's tough as fucking nails, but it's still going to take time to stitch up his face. He'll be back. But, he's going to miss 15, 20 minutes. The dummy misses no time. Loses an arm, pull the ripcord, bring him back to the bench, tape his arm back off. What? Worst case, misses a shift? It's a no-brainer. Yeah, it's merely a flesh wound, and he's right back out there scoring another goal off a deflection. Better yet, make his gear as smelly as possible. I heard Wayne Gretzky used to skate in front of goalies and fart to really distract them. You could do the same thing with this dummy. I don't know how you do it. I'm not a special effects guru, but you rig him up. So you pull the ripcord, send him in front of the goalie, you get him in some really stinky gear. I don't know, dip it in skunk spray, whatever, distract the goalie. Boom, you've got a 20-goal scorer for nothing that plays 82 games and doesn't even miss a shift. Why are they not doing this? Can somebody please call the Kraken and just tell them I have the most brilliant idea in the history of the Seattle Kraken? Because they are really genuinely missing out on a golden opportunity. And I think, I don't know. I mean, if I could save several $1 million, I would do it. And the idea is Kraken. It's great. And just in other Kraken news, before I move on to Blazers, Seattle Kraken opening day. The game is in Seattle at 1:30 against the St. Louis Blues. Does it feel a little weird to anybody else that opening night is just after lunch? I feel like Jerry Seinfeld, what is the deal? Opening night after lunch? Maybe I'm completely off base, but it seems a little strange that in a sport that generally starts at 7 p.m., it's a huge night, and it starts at 1:30. That kind of, I don't know, that kind of rubs me, it really grinds my gears, and I don't really know why. I don't know. what do you think? What time is acceptable for opening night? Because to me, it ain't 1:30 in the afternoon. All right, all right, all right. So we've talked. Yeah, 5:30 has got to be like the absolute earliest, right? I get they're probably trying to make a whole day out of it. You get, 4 games lined up or whatever, and Seattle's on the West Coast, so you put them at the 1:30 slot because really all anybody cares about is the East Coast, right? So we kind of get hosed there. I don't know. That's probably it, right? All right. So we've talked Mariners. We've talked pain and suffering and hope for next season. We've talked about the Blazers' new network deal, which gets 4 times the coverage that the Blazers used to have for games. And most people are going to get it for free. And some people are going to have to stream it because they can't get the coverage quite yet. We've talked Seahawks and Bryce Young and Seattle Kraken and goal screens and farts with Wayne Gretzky. Let's talk a little bit more Blazers before we close out the sports portion of the show here, shall we? We've been going for almost 2 hours. It's about time we wrap it up. Blazers Media Day is about a week away. And according to sources being other podcasts that I listen to that know a whole hell of a lot more about this than me, everybody's back in town. Everybody's ready to go. I'm curious who's going to make the rotation. And I think training camp is going to give us a really good idea as to where everybody stands. Oh, is Chris Murray going to get playing time? Is Jabari Walker going to get playing time? Are you going to start Scoot? Are you going to start Ant? Shaden's got to be a lock to start, right? Is he going to be at the 2 and Avia 3? I don't know. But I want to start with Media Day. And I want to get some input from anybody watching. If you could go to any team's media day, which would you go to? Who would you want to talk to? And what would you want to ask them? I thought of that. And I thought, man, I would absolutely love going to Blazers Media Day. And listen, it's not going to happen this year. I highly doubt it, right? But maybe next year. Maybe we make enough traction with this sports thing we're trying out. And maybe I get to actually cover games as a serious journalist. We're just going to throw that in there for fun. Maybe I get to start going to training camp and watching some things, or at least asking questions afterwards, or media day and asking questions. Maybe I get to go to the games and write and talk about the games after experiencing it in person. So I thought about what would I want to ask. And I came up with a few, and I'll come up with some more just kind of straight off the top of my head. And out of professional courtesy, yeah, would I really ask these questions? I don't know, but boy, I would love to. And I'd start with Scoot Henderson. If you were watching the live stream yesterday, you saw me get really depressed. You saw me get really sad because I read about David Thorpe. And now he wrote an article that was not too flattering to my favorite Sterling to ever not be named Archer. I would ask Scoot what he did over the summer to work on his finishing at the rim. Then I would follow up and ask what he thinks about David Thorpe's article saying that he was not impressed with Scoot's summer progress, and he was, quote, the most disappointing player he saw in LA. I, surprisingly, am not Scoot Henderson. And even I was kind of hurt by hearing that. Partially because I am a fan of the Blazers. I am a fan of Scoot. We took my young little mini to a game and said, "Hey, you can have any jersey that you want. What do you want?" Sure as we now have one Sterling Scoot Henderson jersey hanging proudly in my son's room. I so badly want Scoot to be great. I want him to be overly determined to dominate and that show through on the court. And I feel like we really saw some great glimpses of that towards the end of last season. So I was just filled with optimism, right? Then I see this article. And I think, holy shit, the fucking sky is falling. Say it ain't so. I was expecting to see things like Scoot is a different player. Boys, he made some strides. He's so impressive. He was knocking down threes and finishing at the rim. He was dunking over guys. His freakish athleticism. He was blowing by people, making every layup. I was really hoping to see stuff like that. And then the very first article I see was he was, quote, the most disappointing player that this writer saw. And I totally get this is one person's perspective. I totally get this was, not an NBA game. Totally get likely not giving full effort. But it was really disheartening to see that be the first thing that I've read going into training camp. So I'd really like to know what Scoot thinks about that. Is it, I'm not say, is it accurate, but say it ain't so. Oh, don't worry, it's not. I worked on this, and this. I'm really improved in this. I'm really looking forward to you guys seeing training camp in the preseason. You're gonna see last 25 games Scoot and then some. Great. I would love to see it, and I fully believe in Scoot Henderson, and we're gonna see that. And then I go to Shaden Sharp, and I'd say, when are we gonna see that consistent fire? There was a game where he dunked over Kessler of the Utah Jazz, and he gave us this flex and this yell, and I thought, yes, that is what we need all the time. Shaden Sharp that plays with visible fire and aggression is an all-star. That is an all-star caliber player. Superstar in the league? Maybe. You take Brandon Sprague's baby Kobe. I'm not going to put that on him, but I love thinking about it. I'm not going to put that on him. But I sincerely believe that Shaden Sharp has the potential just to be unreal. And I think we see that with passion and intensity on the court. And I don't know if we can get that. I don't know if that's like in his I'll call it on-court lexicon. I just don't know if that's a language that he speaks. I hope it is. As somebody that is also very laid back and fairly reserved and, believe it or not, quiet, sometimes it's hard to turn on intensity. And maybe he has it in here all the time when he plays. But seeing it on his face during a game is next level. And I would love just to see red ass Shaden Sharp, take it to people. I mean, he's already jumping over people. He's already jumping around 360 tomahawk dunking on everybody. So I'd want to ask Shaden Sharp, is there a next level to on-court intensity? Is that something that we can expect to see? Because I would love to see that on a consistent basis. Then I would have a friend that is friends with Dame. I would say, hey, friend, could you text Dame and ask if he's going to come back to Portland? When your contract's up, and you're done in Milwaukee, you can re-sign with Portland. Because I bought this candle about a week before he asked for a trade from the Blazers. I call it Saint Dalla. And I'm not going to light it until he's in a Blazer uniform again. So I'd like to know, are you coming back? Because this is waiting. This is not getting lit until Dame comes back. Does that really have anything to do with Media Day? No. I want to know. I want to know. I'm keeping this candle. Just want to know if I'm ever going to get to use it is all. That's it. Let's see. I want to ask Tamani Kamara a question. I want to ask him if he likes my little collection here. So I was complaining about cards earlier, right? So I'm going to take these out so I can show you guys watching. I have been collecting cards with my son the last probably 6 months or so. And my favorite to collect is basketball, followed closely by baseball. And so I've made it a goal of mine to get my son an autographed rookie card of each Blazer. And to start that off, I went with Shaden Sharp. We got a couple cool Sharp. This one's got a jersey patch. Oh, looks like this one does too. A couple cool cards that I'm really, I think it's really cool. We got a Scoot. I got him 2 Scoots. I got 7 Tamani Kamaras. I would ask Tamani Kamara if he likes my collection of autograph cards of him that I quasi-accidentally bought, and probably ask him if I can get a jersey to hang up in my son's room to go next to the Scoot one. That's what I would ask too. So a little story. So I wanted to get one or two cards, and I lost track of how many Tamani ones that I bid on, and I ended up winning 7. And I told a friend of mine, never been happier. I am now the proud owner, my son and I, 7 Tamani Kamara autographed rookie cards. Oh man, I think there's actually another one in the mailbox right now. 8. I'm pretty sure it's 8 Tamani Kamara cards. And I don't know. I'm really excited about them because I love to. I think he's a great player. He's the type of player that the Blazers needed for a long time. I think he starts draining that 3 and holy shit, man, that guy. He's a great cutter, great defender. Starts draining some 3s. I am so looking forward to a Blazers future with Tamani Kamara, and I am so blessed to now have 8 cards. I went in looking for 1 or 2, came out with 8. I've never been happier in my entire life. So thank you, Tamani Kamara, for making this possible by signing so many cards. Okay. All right. Sorry. I know that's a little different. DeAndre Ayton. I would ask DA. I say, DA, would you like to borrow some studded tires this coming winter? I'll tell you why. I live pretty close to where DA lives. I know exactly what he went through. And I completely and totally understand there really was no getting in and out of these neighborhoods when that ice hit. That ice hit, you were done. It's like we went and stocked up on food and we got studded tires because my son had a hockey tournament in Klamath Falls. And to go to Klamath Falls, you have to pass through this mountain pass, which is just absolutely treacherous. So for the first time in my life, I got studded tires. Those ended up being an absolute lifesaver. So every year that it's even snowed a little bit, we're stuck in our neighborhood. Because every single time it's tree branches falling, ice building up, and it's very hilly. And you cannot get up and down these hills without studded tires and or chains. So I would ask Aiden, would you like to borrow our studded tires? All I ask in return is that I get to ride with you to the arena. I don't know if these will work on Ferraris, but I'm willing to try. If you want them, just let me know. I would also, I'd like to ask him serious question. How has it been going from a team that was a contending team to one that's rebuilding? Now that it's been a full year in Portland, I'm curious if that's changed how he feels his role on an NBA team is. And I'd also remind him that he's an absolute bucket from 20 feet. And so, maybe stepping 2-3 feet back and starting to drain those, that's not very far. You're a very tall man. That's probably half a step. You could take half a step, a full step back, let those fly. That would be great. And this might be the most important question I would want to ask at media day if I were allowed in, and I'm starting to get why I am not invited there. I would ask Ant. First, I'd start off with a little story that a couple years back, Ant did a video with Lamar Hurd, and it was for the Blazers Kids Club. And my son had saved his points for the Blazers Kids Club, and he redeemed them for a video call with Ant. And I don't know why. Like, we were under the impression that it was just probably going to be, a quick, couple minutes. Ant would hop on, say hi. And that we thought it would just be like a kind of personalized, quick hello, in and out sort of thing with just us and Ant. But it turned out to be a Lamar interviewed Ant, asked him some questions that you could send in. And so a bunch of people are watching at once, which makes way more sense than what we thought it would be. We asked the question, i.e. my son, who was 6, 7, probably 6 at the time. He wanted to know who Ant's favorite Power Ranger was. And at that moment, my son became a huge Anthony Simons fan because they both loved the Green Ranger. So I want to go in depth with that a little bit. I'd ask, what is it about the Green Ranger that you like that makes him your favorite Ranger over, say, the Red Ranger or Yellow Ranger? More importantly, did your favorite Ranger change once Tommy became the White Ranger? Is this a Tommy thing? Did you like Tommy, or was it the Green Ranger specifically? Are green and white kind of on the same level? Or was it just, boy, that green outfit was awesome. I love it. I don't know. I don't know where I stand on that. I certainly don't expect him to have an answer right off the top of his head, because that's hard hitting journalism. But I would like to know that so I can pass it on to my son. I I'd also, man, there's so many questions I'd want to ask these guys, like, for real. Like, yes, my focus here has been on laughter. These questions are not completely serious. There might be a little tinge of seriousness within these questions, but I am really curious to ask. I'd want to ask Robert Williams III some variation of how he feels about where he's at in his career and how he feels being on the Blazers roster right now. And I would get likely some kind of PC team friendly answer. But if I were just talking to him one on one, no cameras, no nothing, I'd really like to know where he's at mentally, because he seems like a really great dude. He When he's healthy, he's a defensive player of the year caliber player. And I hope he's doing okay, because this is a really tough spot to be in. It doesn't seem like Aiton's going to go anywhere. He's got a couple years left on his contract. The Blazers just drafted Donovan Clingan. That's not a whole lot of minutes at center. And assuming that he's healthy enough to play, you have to put Time Lord out there, right? You have to. So how does he feel with how the lineup's stacking up right now? I just hope he's doing okay. That's basically where I'm getting at. And I've got, oh man, I'd have questions for Jabari and Chris and Danny. There's just, I would love to be able to talk to some of these guys and just pick their brains. So, that's coming up here soon. There's some more Blazers dates. Saturday, October 5th is the Fan Fest at Moda Center. Just wanted to let anybody know that in case you're interested in going. I believe October 11th is preseason in Seattle, which we'll definitely talk about later. I'm going to really try and get up there. And then October 23rd, less than a month from now, first regular season game at home against the Golden State Warriors. I'm really looking forward to that. I cannot wait for another season. I know that, not a lot of people expect a lot from this team this year, and I think that's fair. And I'm, again, forever a homer, but also forever a realist. I totally understand that, the Blazers likely going to be towards the bottom of the league. And frankly, that's probably a good thing this season with the draft stacking up how it is. And I don't care how bad the team is. I'm going to watch every single game. I'm going to find the good. I'm going to find the bad. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about it. Because if you're watching me, you must really love the Blazers and desperate for more Blazer content like I am, because there are so many great Blazer podcast options right now. And the fact that you're spending some time listening to what I think and feel about it is truly humbling to me. Hey, do me a favor and yourself a favor. Find a friend or family member you haven't talked to in a while and just check in on them. Even just a text, see how they're doing. Call a grandparent if you still got one, or if not, a parent. You know, they miss you. That's just me looking into the future, dreading not being able to talk to my child every day. Yeah, reach out to somebody. All right. I am headed back to the writer's room to get the scoop for the next episode. Join me tomorrow, and I'll tell you all about what's being written about your Portland Trailblazers, Seattle Kraken, Seattle Seahawks, and Mariners. I am Shiloh Jocelyn, and this has been I Read the Script.
From the entire Channel 4 news team, I'm Veronica Corningstone.
And I'm Ron Burgundy. Go fuck yourself.
Miami.
What in the name? No! Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle.